Greetings, one and all, once again, to Exploring Arda, a Tolkien-centered podcast where I am your host, Jackson, and I go through a bunch of Tolkien's works other than Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And, this is going to be part 3, yes, of the none other than the Letters from Father Christmas. There you go, that's a little bit better. So, yeah, I've been having a fun time reading the other two parts. I'm going through these last couple episodes. It's going to be a part 3 and a part 4. So I'm going to separate them by 5 years each. So if I can open my book here, because it is a wide book. I'm on 1933. So I will be reading from 1933 to 38. And then the last part will be 39 to 40. I think it's 43, if I remember correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it'll be the last part. So, and this is going to be, the third part for the holiday season. So Christmas is getting close, and I hope that you guys enjoy this book as much as I have, because this is a really fun book that you don't have to take, too seriously, or it's just like, what's the crazy situations in the North Pole going to be this year? That kind of thing. So it's a very enjoyable thing, and I hope you guys enjoyed it this year because it's just very lighthearted and fun. And I don't really talk much about it. I just kind of give the summaries because that's kind of what it's all about. Just tell the stories. That's all it is. So I think without me rambling any further, I think we can just go right into it. So we'll begin here with 1933, and here we go. So 1933. Near North Pole, December 2nd, 1933. Dear people, very cold here at last. Business has really begun, and we are working hard. I have had a good many letters from you. Thank you. I have made notes of what you want so far, but I expect I shall hear more from you yet. I am rather short of messengers, the goblins have, but I haven't time to tell you about our excitements now. I hope I shall find time to send you a letter later. Give John my love when you see him. I send love to all of you, and a kiss for Priscilla. Tell her my beard is quite nice and soft, as I have never shaved. 3 weeks to Christmas Eve. Yours, Father Nicholas Christmas. And the note says, cheer up, chaps. Also chaplet, if that's the feminine. The fun's beginning. Yours, Polar Bear. And now we'll go right over to the second, 1933. Cliff House near the North Pole, December 21st, 1933. My dears, another Christmas, and I almost thought at one time in November that there would be not one this year. There would be the 25th of December, of course, but nothing from your old great, etc. grandfather at the North Pole. My pictures tell you part of the story. Goblins, the worst attack we have had for centuries. They have been fearfully wild and angry ever since we took all your stolen toys off them last year and doused them with green smoke. You remember the red gnomes promised to clear all of them out. There was not one to be found in any hole or cave by New Year's Day, but I said they would crop up again in a century or so. They have not waited so long. They must have gathered their nasty friends from mountains all over the world, and been busy all the summer while we were at our sleepiest. This time we had very little warning. Soon after All Saints' Day, Polar Bear got very restless. He now says he smelt nasty smells, but as usual he did not say anything. He says he did not want to trouble me. He really is a nice old thing. And this time he absolutely saved Christmas. He took to sleeping in the kitchen with his nose towards the cellar door, opening on the main stairway down into my big stores. One night, just about Christopher's birthday, I woke up suddenly. There was squeaking and spluttering in the room and a nasty smell. In my own best green and purple room that I had just done up most beautifully. I caught sight of a wicked little face at the window. Then I really was upset, for my window is high up above the cliff. And that meant there were bat-riding goblins about, which we haven't seen since the Goblin War in 1453 that I told you about. I was only just quite awake when a terrific din began far downstairs in the store cellars. It would take too long to describe, so I have tried to draw a picture of what I saw when I got down, after treading on a goblin on the mat. Their note says, only there was more like 1,000 goblins than 15, and goes back, but you could hardly expect me to draw 1,000. Polar Bear was squeezing, squashing, trampling, boxing and kicking goblins sky high and roaring like a zoo, and the goblins were yelling like engine whistles. He was splendid. Note says, say no more. I enjoyed it immensely. And back to it here. Well, it is a long story. The trouble lasted for over a fortnight, and it began to look as if I should never be able to get my sleigh out this year. The goblins had set part of the stores on fire and captured several gnomes, who sleep down there on guard, before Polar Bear and some more gnomes came in and killed 100 before I arrived. Even when we had put the fire out and cleared the cellars and houses, I can't think what they were doing in my room, unless they were trying to set fire to my bed. The trouble went on. The ground was black with goblins under the moon when we looked out, and they had broken up my stables and gone off with the reindeer. I had to blow my golden trumpet, which I had not done for many years, to summon all my friends. There were several battles. Every night they used to attack and set fire in the stores, before we got the upper hand, and I am afraid quite a lot of my dear elves got hurt. Fortunately, we have not lost much, except my best string, gold and silver, and packing papers and holly boxes. I'm very short of these, and I have been very short of messengers. Lots of my people are still away. I hope they will come back safe, chasing the goblins out of my land, those that are left alive. They have rescued all my reindeer. We are quite happy and settled again now, and feel much safer. It really will be centuries before we get another goblin trouble. Thanks to Polar Bear and the gnomes, there can't be very many left at all. And her note says here, and Father Christmas, I wish I could draw or had time to try. You have no idea what the old man can do. Lightning and fireworks and thunder of guns. And back here again. Polar Bear certainly has been busy helping, and double help, but he has mixed up some of the girls' things with the boys in his hurry. We hope we have got all sorted out, but if you hear anyone getting a doll when they wanted an engine, you will know why. Actually, Polar Bear tells me that I am wrong. We did lose a lot of railway stuff. Goblins always go for that. And what we got back was damaged and will have to be repainted. It will be a busy summer next year. Now, a Merry Christmas to you all once again. I hope you will have a very happy time and will find that I have taken notice of your letters and sent you what you wanted. I don't think my pictures are very good this year, though I took quite a time over them, at least 2 minutes. Polar Bear says, I don't see a lot of stars and pictures of goblins in your bedroom that are so frightfully merry. Still, I hope you won't mind. It is rather good, a Polar Bear kicking, really. Anyway, I send lots of love. Yours ever and annually, Father Nicholas Christmas. There you go. All right, yep. So, that is 1933, and apparently the Goblin kind of war, I suppose, another war, begins because he does mention that there was a war in the 1400s, which is crazy, but I just think it's kind of fun that, the goblins are still, wreaking havoc and causing trouble and whatnot, which I suppose makes sense, and all the elves are fighting back, and the reindeer are trying to get stolen by the goblins, but Polar Bear eventually does end up helping, and there is a picture of him right on this page here. Let's see if I can kind of get it into view. Very, very cool stuff. So he's fighting off the goblins there, and everything's trying to get into peace again. And it says good old Christmas 1933. So very, very cool. And it's kind of funny how he's just like, I don't think my pictures are very good, but it's like, I can't paint that. I can't draw that. It's amazing. It's so cool. I just love the old art style, I suppose. But 1933 was a very busy year, apparently, for good old Father Christmas, fighting off the goblins and whatnot with his trusty companion, the Polar Bear. I like it. So, we'll just go head on into 1934 here. So, at once, Urgent Express. My dear Christopher, thank you. I am awake and have been a long while, but my post office does not really open ever until Michaelmas. Oh, okay. I shall not be sending my messengers out regularly this year until about October 15. There is a good deal to do up here. Your telegram, which is why I have sent an express reply, and letter and Priscilla's were found quite by accident. Not by a messenger, but by Bellman. I don't know how he got that name because he never rings any. He is my chimney inspector and always begins work as soon as the first fires are lit. Very much love to you and Priscilla. The Polar Bear, if you remember him, is still fast asleep and quite thin after so much fasting. He will soon cure that. I shall tickle his ribs and wake him up soon, and then he will eat several months' breakfast all in one. More love, your loving Father Christmas. To messenger, deliver at once and don't stop on the way. It's kind of cool. So, and it goes back over here to Cliff House, North Pole, Christmas Eve, 1934. My dear Christopher, thank you very much for your many letters. I have not had time this year to write you as long a letter as 1932 and 33, but nothing at all exciting has happened. I hope I have pleased you with the things I am bringing, and that they are dear enough to your lists. Very little news. After the frightful business of last year, there has not been even a smell of goblin for 200 miles around. But, as I said it would, it took us far into the summer to repair all the damage, and we lost a lot of sleep and rest. When November came around, we did not feel like getting to work, and we were rather slow and so have been rushed at the end. Also, it has been unusually warm for the North Pole, and the polar bear still keeps on yawning. Paxu and Valkatuka have been here a while. They have grown a good deal, but still get up to frightful mischief in between times of trying to help. This year they stole my paint and painted scrawls on the white walls of the cellars, ate all the mincemeat out of the pies made ready for Christmas, and only yesterday went and unpacked half the parcels to find railway things to play with. They don't get on well with the cave cubs, somehow. Several of these have arrived today and are staying here a few nights with old Cave Bear, who is their uncle, granduncle, grandfather, great-granduncle, etc. Paxu is always kicking them because they squeak and grunt so funnily. Polar Bear has to box him often, and a box from Polar Bear is no joke. As there are no goblins around, and as there is no wind, and so far much less snow than usual, we are going to have a great Boxing Day party ourselves, out of doors. I shall ask 100 elves and red gnomes, lots of polar cubs, cave cubs, and snow babies, and of course, Paxu and Falkatuka, and Polar Bear and Cave Bear and his nephews will be there. We have brought a tree all the way from Norway and planted it in a pool of ice. My picture gives you no idea of its size, or the loveliness of its magic lights of different colors. We tried them yesterday evening to see if they were alright. If you see a bright glow in the north, you will know what it is. And before I go into the story, I'm just going to show you guys the really cool painting of the Christmas tree that they have brought from Norway, apparently. Very cool stuff. I really like it. Very tall around the... It basically looks like an ice rink, which is even better. So, anyway, continuing with the story here. The treeish things behind are snow plants, and piled masses of snow made into ornamental shapes. They are purple and black because of darkness and shadow. There is also a special edging to the ice pool, and it was made of real colored icing. Paxu and Valkatuka are already nibbling at it, though they should not, till the party. Polar Bear started to draw this to help me, as I was busy, but he dropped such blocks, enormous ones. Hold it up to the light and you will see where. I had to come to the rescue. Not very good this year. Never mind, perhaps better next year. I hope you will like your presents and be very happy. Your loving Father Christmas. P.S. I really can't remember exactly in what year I was born. I doubt if anyone knows. I'm always changing my own mind about it. Anyway, it was 1934 years ago, or jolly nearly that. Bless you, F.C. P.P.S. Give my love to Mick and John. Polar Bear says, love, busy, thanks. Yeah, that's 33. Wait, hold on a minute. So that was part of 34. So 34 actually continues because there is another one for Priscilla here. So, my bad, there's another one. December 24, 1934. Dear Priscilla, thank you for nice letters. Lots of love. I hope you will be quite well and enjoy the things that I am bringing. Can you read this yourself yet? Is it my best writing? Sorry, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Polar Bear sends love. He is glad that you have called your bear Bingo. He thinks it is a jolly name, but he thinks bears ought to be white all over. I send a picture with Christopher's letter, which is for both of you. Your loving Father Christmas. Love, busy, thanks, Polar Bear. So, there was another, there we go, another, a quick little extra note, I guess, to Priscilla, which is kind of neat, so. So yeah, obviously, I wonder if Tolkien was just like, man, I've been writing so many, like, long stories, I should probably take it down a notch just for a year or two, probably. Lots of stuff happened, and I guess that just makes sense, because they're like, hey, we got rid of the goblins, so what's there to write about, except for just getting a different tree planted in the middle of an ice pond. So that works for me. So I think we're just going to go right again to the next year here, which is 1935. So here we go. December 24, 1935, North Pole. My dear children, here we are again. Christmas seems to come around pretty soon again. Always much the same and always different. No ink this year and no water, so no painted pictures. Also very cold hands, so very wobbly writing. Last year it was very warm, but this year it is frightfully cold. Snow, 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 and ice. We have been simply buried. Messengers have got lost and found themselves in Nova Scotia, if you know where that is, instead of in Scotland. And PB, if you know who that is, could not get home. This is a picture of my house about a week ago before we got the reindeer sheds dug out. We had to make a tunnel to the front door. There are only 3 windows upstairs shining through holes, and there is steam where the snow is melting off the dome and roof. This is a view from my bedroom window. Of course, snow coming down is not blue, but blue is cold. You can understand why your letters were slow in going. I hope I got them all, and anyway, that the right things arrived for you. Poor old PB, if you know who I mean, had to go away soon after the snow began last month. And it says here, silly again. There was some trouble in his family, and Paxu and Valkatuka were ill. He is very good at doctoring anybody but himself. But it is dreadfully a long way over the ice and snow, to North Greenland, I believe. And when he got there, he could not get back. So I have been rather held up, especially as the reindeer stables and the outdoor store sheds are snowed over. Whoa. And I got one of those rare instances where it's a double page with the artwork, which is, it's fine by me. It's very cool stuff. How he manages to pretty much draw in between the letters. So I think that's kind of cool and unique and creative and all that, fun stuff. So back into the story here again. Here it is. Yep. I have had to have a lot of red elves to help me. They are very nice and great fun, but although they are very quick, they don't get on fast, for they turn everything into a game, even digging snow, and they will play with the toys they are supposed to be packing. PB, if you remember him, did not get back until Friday, December 13th, so that proved a lucky day for me after all. Even he had to wear a sheepskin coat and red gloves for his paws, and he had got a hood on and red gloves. He thinks he looks rather like Rye St. Anthony, but of course he does not very much. Anyway, he carries things in his hood. He brought some home, his sponge and soap in it. He says that we have not seen the last of the goblins, in spite of the battles in 1933. They won't dare to come into my land yet, but for some reason they are breeding again and multiplying all over the world. Quite a nasty outbreak. But there are not so many in England, he says. I expect I shall have trouble with them soon. I have given my elves some new magic sparkler spears that will scare them out of their wits. It is now December 24th, and they have not appeared this year, and practically everything is packed up and ready. I shall be starting soon. Yep, I send you all, John and Michael and Christopher and Priscilla, my love and good wishes this Christmas. Tons of good wishes. Pass on a few if you don't want them all. Polar bear, in case you don't know what PB is. It says, it's a stupid joke. And it goes on. Sends you love. And to the Bingos, and to Orange Teddy, and to Jubilee. Oh yes, I learn lots of news, even in snowy weather. My messengers will be about until the new year, if you want to write and tell me everything was all right. I hope you enjoy the pantomime. Your loving Father Christmas. P.S. Paxu and Volkatuka are well again, only mumps. They will be at my big party on St. Stephen's Day with other polar cubs, cave bears, cave cubs, snow babies, elves, and all the rest. Alright. So, and that was 1935. So yeah, just seems like another quick update. Polar bear was lost on the way back home, supposedly. And not only that, but the snow was immensely more than the last year, which was warm the other year. So, kind of cool about that, I suppose. And apparently the goblins are all over the world. So, I guess it makes sense. They're not only stuck at the North Pole, but yeah, just a nice little quick update. Not a lot of things. I did, like I said, like how he kind of drew the pictures in between like the writings and whatnot. Very cool, very creative. So, definitely like that. So, here we go. On to the next year again. Make sure everything's kind of set up here. Alright. 1936. Cliff House, North Pole, Wednesday, December 23rd, 1936. My dear children, I am sorry I cannot send you a long letter to thank you for yours, but I am sending you a picture which will explain a good deal. It is a good thing your changed list arrived before these awful events, or I could not have done anything about it. I do hope you will like what I am bringing, and will forgive any mistakes. I hope nothing will still be wet. I am still so shaky and upset. I'm getting one of my elves to write a bit more about things. I send very much love to you all. Father Christmas says you will want to hear some news. Polar Bear has been quite good, or had been, though he has been rather tired. So has Father Christmas. I think the Christmas business is getting rather too much for them. So a lot of us red and green elves have gone to live permanently at Cliff House and be trained in the packing business. It was Polar Bear's idea. He also invented the number system so that every child that Father Christmas deals with has a number, and we elves learn them all by heart, and all the addresses. That saves a lot of writing. Oh, another double page here, but this is kind of cool. Another double page. Oh, there it goes. Another double page here with all the elves helping Santa and whatnot in the very long letter. So, again, very cool stuff. I always really love the full art stuff. All right. Anyway, so just to get distracted by the own book that I'm reading. So, continues on here. So many children have the same name that every packet used to have the address as well. Polar Bear said, I'm going to have a record year and help Father Christmas to get so forward we can have some fun ourselves on Christmas Day. We all worked hard, and you'll be surprised to hear that every single parcel was packed and numbered by Saturday, December 19th. Then Polar Bear said, I am tired out. I'm going to have a hot bath and go to bed early. Well, you can guess what happened. Father Christmas was taking a last look round in the English delivery room about 10 o'clock when water poured through the ceiling and swamped everything. It was soon 6 inches deep on the floor. Polar Bear had simply got into the bath with both taps running and gone fast asleep with one hind paw on the overflow. He had been asleep 2 hours when he woke him. Father Christmas was really angry, but Polar Bear only said, I did have a jolly dream. I dreamt I was driving off a melting iceberg and chasing seals. He said later, when he saw the damage, well, there is one thing. Those children at North Pole Road, Oxford, he always says that, may lose some of their presents, but they will have a letter worth hearing this year. They can see a joke, even if none of you can. That made Father Christmas angrier, and Polar Bear said, well, draw a picture of it and ask them if it is funny or not. So Father Christmas has, but he has begun to think it funny, although very annoying, himself. Now we have cleared up the mess and got the English presents repacked again. Just in time. We are all rather tired, so please excuse scrawly writing. Yours, Ilbereth, Secretary to Father Christmas. There's a note here that says, very sorry, been busy. Can't find that alphabet. We'll look after Christmas and post it. Yours, Polar Bear. I have found it. I send you a copy. You needn't fill in blank parts if you don't want to. It takes rather long to write, but I think it is rather clever. Still busy, Father Christmas says I can't have a bath till next year. Love you both because you see jokes. Polar Bear, I got into hot water, didn't I? Haha. And it's a cool little, let's see, that is the, yep, okay. That is 36. I think we're still on 36. So before I continue on, this is kind of like the alphabet again that he apparently invented, quote unquote, invented and whatnot. And the other ones are like rune-ish English letters, I would say. It definitely looks like runes. So, and then yeah, and it goes on with this 1936. That's yeah, 36 because the next one's 37. Says November 2nd, 1936. Oh yeah, and this is like the list pretty much of what I guess that they wanted. So we'll see. November 2nd, 1936. Wanted dolls, Noah's Arks, engines, books, crackers, chalks, paint boxes, dinky toys sent to makers for all new sorts, pencils, bears, and chocolates. And they all have like a different quantity of how many. And stores enough, probably of usual things. We seem a bit short of soldiers, farm things, railway lines, woolly animals, toy bricks, and Hornby trucks. Send messengers round to makers to see if any good new things this year. Just a bit of FC's scribblings. I couldn't find any clean paper. He has locked his study door. So I think it's kind of cool. He's just like, he does have the list of like generic things, generic gifts and whatnot, but it's still, I mean, they were like in the like thousands and whatnot. So I mean, apparently all the kids wanted those. So, And it was in the 30s, so it's like it's not going to be like the toys we have today. Not near as the same as that. So, but yeah. So obviously, Father Christmas was very, very angry with the polar bear, and I get it because it's so close to Christmas Day, and then that happens. You know, classic situations, classic shenanigans with polar bear. Always up to something either accidental or on purpose. So I think with that little quick update, just go into another year here. We're almost there, so this is 37, and then 38 is when I will stop the episode. So here we go, 1937. Cliff House, North Pole, Christmas 1937. My dear Christopher and Priscilla and other old friends in Oxford, here we are again. Of course, I am always here when not traveling, but you know what I mean. Christmas again. I believe it is 17 years since I started to write to you. I wonder if you have still got all my letters. I have not been able to keep quite all yours, but I have got some from every year. We had quite a fright this year. No letters came from you. Then one day, early in December 1, it says, then one day early in December, there we go, I sent a messenger who used to go to Oxford a lot, but had not been there for a long while, and he said, their house is empty and everything is sold. I was afraid something had happened, or that you had all gone to school in some other town, and your father and mother had moved. Of course, I know now. The messenger had been to your old house next door. He complained that all the windows were shut and the chimneys all blocked up. I was very glad indeed to get Priscilla's first letter, and your 2 nice letters, and useful lists and hints since Christopher came back. I quite understand that school makes it difficult, there you go, for you to write like you used to. And of course, I have new children coming on my list each year so that I don't get less busy. Tell your father I'm sorry about his eyes and throat. I once had my eyes very bad from snow blindness, which comes from looking at sunlit snow. But I got better. I hope Priscilla and your mother and everyone else will be well on December 25th. I am afraid I have not any time to draw you a picture this year. You see, I have strained my hand moving heavy boxes in the cellars in November, and could not start my letters until later than usual, and my hand still gets tired quickly. But Ilbereth, one of the cleverest elves who I took on as a secretary not long ago, is becoming very good. He can write several alphabets now, Arctic, Latin, that is ordinary European like you use, Greek, Russian, runes, and of course Elvish. His writing is a bit thin and slanting. He has a very slender hand, and his drawing is a bit scratchy, I think. He has done you what he calls a picture diary. I hope it will do. He won't use paints. He says he is a secretary and so only uses ink and pencil. He is going to finish this letter for me, as I have to do some others. So I will now send you lots of love, and I do hope that I have chosen the best things out of your suggestion list. I was going to send Hobbits. I am sending away loads, mostly second editions, which I sent for only a few days ago. But I thought you would have lots, so I'm sending other Oxford fairy story. Lots and lots of love, Father Christmas. And it continues on here. Dear children, I am Ilbreth. I have written to you before. I am finishing for Father Christmas. Shall I tell you about my pictures? Polar Bear and Valkatuka and Paxu are always lazy after Christmas, or rather after the St. Stephen's Day party. Father Christmas is ringing for breakfast in vain. Another day when Polar Bear is, as usual, was late. Paxu threw a bath sponge full of icy water on his face. Polar Bear chased him all around the house and round the garden and then forgave him because he had not caught Paxu, but had found a huge appetite. We had terrible weather at the end of winter and actually had rain. We could not go out for days. I have drawn Polar Bear and his nephews when they did venture out. Paxu and Valkatuka had never gone away. They like it so much that they have begged to stay. And before I go on, there is actually the little diagram that he said that he draws himself, very fine-lined, and I would say like kind of different, but still not that different from from what Tolkien drew, or sorry, Father Christmas drew the other years. So, oh man, there's a lot more to this year. Okay, so we continue because there's another full page letter here. So we'll just keep going here. It was much too warm at the North Pole this year. A large lake formed at the bottom of the cliff and left the North Pole standing on an island. I've drawn a view looking south, so the cliff is on the other side. It was about midsummer. The North Polar Bear, his nephews, and lots of polar cubs used to come and bathe. also seals. North Polar Bear took to trying a paddle boat or canoe, but he fell in so often that the seals thought he liked it, and used to get under the boat and tip it up. That made him annoyed. The sport did not last long, as the water froze again early in August. Then we began to think of this Christmas. In my picture, Father Christmas is dividing up the list and giving me my special lot. You are in it. That is why your numbers are on the board. North Polar Bear, of course, always pretends to be managing everything. That's why he's pointing. But I am really listening to Father Christmas, and I am saluting him, not North Polar Bear. There you go. And it says here, rude little errand boy. Continues. We had a glorious bonfire and fireworks to celebrate the coming of winter and the beginning of real preparations. The snow came down very thick in November, and the elves and snowboys had several tobogganing half-holidays. The polar cubs were not good at it. They fell off, and most of them took to rolling or sliding down just on themselves. Today, but this is the best bit, I had just finished my picture, or might have drawn it differently. And better. Polar Bear was being allowed to decorate a big tree in the garden, all by himself and a ladder. Suddenly I heard terrible growly, squealy noises. We rushed to find Polar Bear hanging on the tree himself. You are not a decoration, said Father Christmas. Anyway, I am all right, he shouted. He was. We threw a bucket of water over him, which spoiled a lot of the decorations but saved his fur. That silly old thing the silly old thing had rested the ladder against a branch instead of the trunk of the tree. Then he thought, I will just light the candles to see if they are working, although he was not told to. So he climbed to the top of the ladder with a taper. But just then the branch cracked, the ladder slipped on the snow, and Polar Bear fell into the tree and caught on some wire, and his fur got caught on fire. This is a poor joke. Luckily, he was rather damp, or he might have been fizzled. I wonder if roast polar bear is good to eat. And it says, not as good as well-spanked and fried elf. Continues, the last picture is imaginary and not very good, but I hope it will come true. It will if Polar Bear behaves. I hope you can read my writing. I try to write like dear old Father Christmas, without the trembles, but I cannot do so. I can write Elvish better. And it actually has some Elvish in it, so it's just crazy. That is some, but Father Christmas says I write even that too spidery and that you could never read it. It says, a very Merry Christmas to you all. Love, Elbereth. And it continues the note. That is runic, after some runic stuff. A big hug and lots of love. Enormous thanks for letters. I don't get many, though I work so hard. I am practicing new writing with lovely thick pen. Quicker than Arctic. I invented it. Ilbereth is cheeky. How are the bingos? A Merry Christmas, North Polar Bear. Alright. And, so. So another thing, Polar Bear and whatnot, he is the troublemaker, definitely, within all of these episodes, if you can't already tell. So I think it's kind of funny how he's always the trickster and the jokester and whatnot. But apparently, the elf Ilbereth and not Elbereth. You just change like one letter, so it's just kind of funny how I always say the light of Elbereth be with you, and now it's like this elf is called Ilbereth with an I instead of the E in Elbereth in the Silmarillion, which is kind of funny. And I'm assuming that's why he snuck it in there. Because it's just like, well, I mean, they're not going to read the Silmarillion until, much, much, much later. And I guess Lord of the Rings until much later, but I just think it's funny how Santa's secretary is basically the same name, so. But yeah, otherwise, he has taken over most of the writing here, because Father Christmas is extremely busy. But we are now on to the last set of letters in 1938. This is probably going to be the longest part of the Father Christmas letters, but I will hopefully finish the rest on the next episode. But here we go. Last one here, 1938. Cliff House, North Pole, Christmas 1938. My dear Priscilla and all others at your house. Here we are again. Bless me, I believe I had said that before, but after all, you don't want Christmas to be different each year, do you? I am frightfully sorry that I haven't had the time to draw any big picture this year, and Ilbereth, my secretary, has not done one either. But we are all sending you some rhymes instead. Some of my other children seem to like rhymes, so perhaps you will. We have all been very sorry to hear about Christopher. I hope he is better and will have a jolly Christmas. I only heard lately when my messengers and letter collectors came back from Oxford. Tell him to cheer up, and although he is now growing up and leaving stockings behind, I shall bring a few things along this year. Among them is a small astronomy book, which gives a few hints on the use of telescopes. Thank you for telling me that he had got one. Dear me, my hand is shaky. I hope you can read some of this. I loved your long letter with all the amusing pictures. Give my love to your Bingos and all the other 60 or more, especially Raggles and Predley and Tinker and Taylor and Jubilee and Snowball. I hope you will go on writing to me for a long while yet. Very much love to you and lots for Chris, from Father Christmas. And then it says, rhyme. Again this year, my dear Priscilla, when you're sleeping upon your pillow. And then a note says, bad rhyme, that's beaten you. And it keeps going. Beside your bed, old Father Christmas, the English language has no rhyme to Father Christmas. That's why I'm not very good at making verses. But what I find a good deal worse is that girls' and boys' names won't rhyme either. And bother, either won't rhyme neither. So please forgive me, dear Priscilla, if I pretend you rhyme with pillow. It says, she won't. And it continues, as I was saying, beside your bed, old Father Christmas, afraid that any creak or hiss must. There you go. How's that? Wake you up with a twinkling. Fill up your stocking. I have an inkling that it belongs in fact to Pater, but never mind. Had to help Father Christmas out here. Ilbreth. At 12 or later, he will arrive and hopes once more that he has chosen from his store the things that you want. You're 9:30, and the note says she is not a clock. So you're 9:30, but still I hope you'll drop a line. For some years yet, and won't forget, old Father Christmas and his pet, the North Polar Bear and Polar Cubs, as fat as little butter tubs. And snowboys and elves, in fact the whole of my household up near the pole. Upon my list made in December, your number is, if you remember, 56,785. It can't be wondered. At that, I am so busy when you think that you are nearly 10, and in that time my list has grown by quite 10,000 girls alone, even when I have subjected all the houses where I no longer call. You will all wonder what's the news, if all has gone well, and if not, who's to blame, and whether Polar Bear has earned a mark, good, bad, or fair, for his behavior since last winter, while first he trod upon a splinter. And before that kind of goes on, I suppose, the poem, I suppose, is kind of like set up a different way, it makes sense. And then all the notes on the side are like, oh, like that's okay, and that wasn't very good, and whatnot. And then here is the other picture of Santa and the reindeers and the rest of the poem. Very cool stuff, as usual. But here we go. It continues even further. So, a note says, just rhyming nonsense. It was a nail, rusty too. But it keeps going. And went on crutches in November, and then one day in December, he burnt his nose and singed his paws upon the kitchen grate because, without the help of tongs, he tried to roast hot chestnuts. Wow, he cried, and used a pound of butter, best, to cure the burns. He would not rest. And it says, I was never given a chance. Keeps going. But on the 23rd he went and climbed on the roof. He meant to clear the snow away that choked his chimney up. Of course he poked his legs right through the tiles and snow, and tons fell on his bed below. He has broken saucers, cups, and plates, and even lots of chocolates. He dropped large boxes on my toes and trodden tin soldiers flat in rows. And it says, you need not believe all this. He's overwound engines and broken springs and mixed up different children's things. He's thumbed new books and burst balloons and scribbled lots of smudgy runes on my best paper and wiped his feet on scarves and hankies folded neat. And yet he has been, on the whole, a very kind and willing soul. He's fetched and carried, counted, packed, and for a week has never slacked. I'm sorry, guys. And it says, here, here. And another one says, I wish you wouldn't scribble on my nice page. Continues, he's climbed the cellar stairs at least 5,000 times, the dear old beast. And it says, Paxu sends love and Valkratuka. Continues, they are still with me, and they don't look a year older, but they're just a bit more wise and have a pinch more wit. The goblins, you'll be glad to hear, have not been seen all this year. Not near the North Pole, but I am told they're moving south and getting bold, and coming back to my lands and making with their wicked hands. new mines and caves, but do not fear, they'll hide away when I appear. And it goes on through Ilbreth's writing, apparently, I think. Christmas Day. Now Christmas Day has come round again, and poor North Polar Bear has got a bad pain. They say he swallowed a couple of pounds of nuts with cracking the shells. It sounds a polarish sort of thing to do, but that isn't all between me and you. He's eaten a ton of various goods, and recklessly mixed all his favorite foods. Honey with ham and turkey with treacle, and pickles with milk. I think that a week'll be needed to put the old bear on his feet, and I mustn't forget his particular treat. Plum pudding with sausages and Turkish delight, covered with cream and devoured at a bite. After this dish he stood on his head. It's rather a wonder the poor fellow's not dead. Absolute rot. I have not got a pain in my pot. I do not eat turkey or meat. And this is Polar Bear's little notes. I stick to the sweet, which is why, as all I know, I am so sweet myself. Euthenius Elf. Goodbye. And it continues here. You know my friends too well to think, although they're rather rude with ink, that there are really quarrels here. We have had a very jolly year, except for Polar Bear the Rusty Nail, but now this rhyme must catch the mail. A special messenger must go, in spite of thickly falling snow, or else this won't get down to you on Christmas Day. It's 2:30. We've quite a ton of crackers still to pull, and glasses still to full. Our love to you on this Noel, until the next one, fare you well. Father Christmas, Polar Bear, Ilbereth, Impaksu, and Volkatuka. And it actually continues on a little bit, and then we'll be done with that one. So it says here, My dear P, this is the last Beatrix Potter painting I have got. I don't believe they are making any more. I'm sending it to you with love. F.C. Boxing Day, 1938. On the Feast of Stephen, I just found it in my letter never sent off. Most annoying. Very sorry. But perhaps something after Christmas will be nice. Will be rather nice. Not my fault, Polar Bear, nor mine, Ilbereth. F.C. left them on his desk, covered with wrapping paper. And that is the 1938. And, that is the end of the... Well, I mean, it is the end of the episode, so we'll finish the rest later. And I definitely apologize for stumbling over all that poetry. I never really know the cadences and steady rhythms of poetry because I never truly got into it. So, and I know that he writes a ton of poetry and whatnot, but hopefully you guys could kind of understand it. I suppose, just like everything that happens in the North Pole between everybody, but that it's still, it's still a good place. So, like, it's a friendly place and everybody gets along and whatnot. So I think it was kind of fun, and it was a different, unique way of separating it from all the other events that have happened. So, yeah. Like I said earlier, this is just me reading it off and narrating it and giving like a brief summary. So I hope you guys enjoy it a little bit. I know that I just enjoy reading pretty much like the whole book and whatnot, the whole story and what's going on. And that apparently now, like towards the end, Father Christmas is getting busier because there's more kids and whatnot. So I think it does make sense a little bit, but let me know what you guys think about the letters. And until next time, because the next time will be the last of the letters from Father Christmas. So with that, everything being said like that, I have no other closings because this is holiday season. So I just want you guys to just enjoy what, all these letters are all about with the holiday season and whatnot. So I think with that all being said, just stay tuned for another episode. May the light of Elbereth be with you all. Farewell!